One more classic intro for the road. All good things must come to an end eventually, even if it hurts. What's up, grasshoppers? Your friendly neighborhood turtle hermit is back, and well, this is it. The very last battle for this channel, and probably my career as a Pokemon trainer. Before we start though, I want to thank you guys for all the comments and just general feedback on my last vid. I just wanted to let you know that since I didn't reply to any of them, you guys are such a big support for me, and you've made it awesome hanging around this community despite the drama that went on at times. Anyway, this is a DPP OU ladder match against Maine. Some of you know him pretty well. He was pretty much a mainstay at the top of the DPP OU ladder on PO, often holding the #1 spot or very close to it. So he's definitely a good player and knows what he's doing. This wallpaper is appropriate, but I had honestly planned to put this video up 2 weeks ago on Easter Sunday to make it more appropriate, I guess. I suppose that's debatable though. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm using a slightly older version of my team here, but I lead with Raikou. He's going with Heatran. I immediately have to switch because Raikou can't OHKO any Heatran. I don't want to risk it being Life Orb, so I'm expecting Stealth Rock to get set up, which he does go for, and I go to Gara. Best thing to do is scout for a switch in for Gyarados since it's obviously too early to set up. I go for Waterfall, he reveals Suicune. Judging from the damage, it looks like it's offensive Coon, and I need to get rocks of my own up, and it'd be nice to scout for Hidden Power Electric. So I reveal Bronzong. Main shows Hydro Pump here, deciding not to go for the obvious HP Electric. This confirms that it is offensive Coon. I proceed as planned, but Main knows I'm going to set up Stealth Rock, so he uses this opportunity to reveal Skarm so he can start spiking up. Now I do have a Magneton, but I really want to see if his Skarm has Shed Shell or not, and hopefully I can limit Skarm to just 2 layers. So I go for Payback. I do see he carries Leftovers, and he sets up his first layer. I switch to Magnetron to try and trap Skarm so I can free T-Tar up for a sweep, but I made it way too obvious what I was up to. And Main catches on and Whirlwinds me out. There was no need for him to get greedy with spikes in hindsight, but luckily Raikou gets dragged out so I can still force Skarm out. I won't be able to surprise Main anymore though, but at least he has to play more cautiously. I have to Thunderbolt here since I can't let him get too many layers since I don't have a spinner. He switches out and reveals Shaman, so he's got a Fire Water Grass core with Skarm for spikes and just a general Steel type. He probably has a Ghost as well to spin block. Leftovers confirms he's using Leech Seed Protect Shaman, who is annoying, but at least it's not Life Orb, which the team doesn't really like. But the only real switch I had for it is Bronzong, so I go to it, he shows Leech Seed. I go immediately for Trick here, which was very risky in hindsight. He's already shown Heatran and Skarm, and I also risked tipping him off about Shaman being a problem for me, meaning he might try to conserve it. So he shockingly went to Rotom, which is honestly a blunder on his end, and he got a Toxicorp for it. So he's got no Revenge Killer. This is going to open up Gyarados though, so I decided to save Bronzong for later. I went to Raikou. He shows Shadow Ball. The sooner I get rid of Rotom, the better though, since I know most of his team. So I immediately show Extra Sensory, but he knows either that is coming or Shadow Ball is, so he reveals his last, which is Tyranitar. Didn't expect Tyranitar to be his last, but Raikou was fodder at that point regardless. And Sand finished it off, and I revealed Flygon. At the time, I was running Expert Belt on Flygon to bluff the Scarf, so I go to work doing so by going for a U-turn. He switches back to Rotom. Hopefully I can surprise him later on. And I know Bronzong's not going to be healthy enough to trick the Scarf off unless I predict a switch, so I decided to fodder it, and Rotom goes for Shadow Ball to finish it off. I go into Magneton. I decide to lock into Thunderbolt to keep Skarm honest and to hit anything on his team neutrally. And I did run a calc to see how much it would do to Rotom in case he decided to stay in. I saw that Sand and Toxic damage would finish it off if I missed the KO, and that's exactly what ends up happening. Him using Thunderbolt there told me he didn't have Hydro Pump. He probably had Hidden Power Ice instead, but he went back to Heatran. He's not in range for Thunderbolt to KO, so I have to go back to Gara for anything he wants to do. He actually shows Lava Plume and he shows Leftovers as well, so both tell me that Train is especially defensive. And thankfully Gara didn't get burned, which he was probably fishing for. But he's got 2 switch-ins for Gara. I know he won't keep Train in, so I predict the switch, go for Stone Edge. I catch Suicune coming in and get a nasty crit, KOing it. Stone Edge doing what it was supposed to do, when it hits anyway. But he brings in Shaman, he goes immediately for Seed Flare. I just fodder Gara at this point. I probably didn't think I could get Gara back in to actually do anything with Stealth Rock down, which is why I sacked it. So I revealed Magneton on the free switch. I immediately exploded since I calced it just right and knew Magneton would barely live the hazards after coming in. Very risky on my end, since he could have just used Protect, since I made Explosion obvious, but he tried for HP Fire, expecting me to do something else. So he was might have been Subseed. But anyway, I bring Flygon in, he brings Tran in, time to see if I can surprise him. That's the only way I'm winning this match now. I go immediately for Earthquake, knowing he will protect since Tran is especially defensive. I need to throw another EQ to really get him to think I'm Scarf, even though I know Skarm is coming in, so I throw it and he goes to Skarm, and this is it. I show that I am Expert Belt here, reveal Fire Blast. He does stay in to spike up, taking a ton of damage. But Skarm is, of course, especially defensive as well since it lives. But I figure I've got him on the ropes now. I can't afford Skarm to roost, so I have to try and KO it to open up a sweep for T-Tar. He switches to his own T-Tar as expected, but now Skarm's not going to be able to come back in because of rocks. And I run a calc. If he's Scarfed, then Crunch doesn't KO, barring a crit, and I'll KO with EQ. And if he's Banded, I'll outspeed it. He does outrun Flygon, confirming the Scarf, but Crunch doesn't do the job. I finish T-Tar off with EQ. Even if he got the crit, my own T-Tar would get a free DD, sealing the deal. But he fodder Skarm, brings his last Tran back in, and then forfeits the match, and it's time for me to go home and be a family man. It's finished. The last episode of the Jackie Chun Saga has ended. I gotta say, Pokemon was a lot of fun for me, but I'm gonna let you boys handle it from here. As far as shoutouts, there are too many to name, and I know I will miss some if I try to do it vocally. So I'll leave links to the channels of people who have supported me over the past few years in the Pokemon community, YouTube or otherwise, as I think of them. Make sure to check back on the description below to see if any other channels pop up. I also put my RMT up on Pokemon Online, on their forum, so I'll leave links to the RMT both on Smogon and PO. They are the same, so you can go to whichever website you prefer. But there's a few people I do want to thank on this video for supporting me during my run, since they don't have channels. Shout out to Reach Zero, my first tutor. He showed me the ropes in early Black White 1 OU. The lessons he gave were so good that even though I never really got into Black White, they helped me become a better player in 4th gen from a team building and battling standpoint. Shout out also to Draco Malfoy, aka Tama, my advanced tutor, and one of the greatest advanced players ever, just saying. Even though we both had stuff going on that prevented us from really doing a full tutoring session, I still consider you my tutor. If we both ever come back to the game, maybe we can make up for lost time. Though, honestly, it'd have to be an act of God for me to come back. But, you never know. Anyway, for the last time, guys, you guys take care. And Jackie Chun is out. Peace!